Meantime, the former president faces even more legal trouble in a separate pending criminal investigation here in Georgia, in Fulton County.
A special grand jury investigated whether Trump and his allies criminally interfered in Georgia's 2020 elections. News Edge reporter Kim Luffler is at the live desk continuing our coverage. And Kim, you spoke to a legal expert about how these two cases are very different.
I did, and prosecutors are looking at violations under each separate state law. The legal expert I spoke to says there should be no legal impact on the case here in Georgia, but it's still too early to know if any potential backlash from the New York decision could impact the Fulton County case moving forward.
Not a huge surprise that this is the outcome.
Emory law professor Kay Levine says indictments are common when a grand jury like the one in New York is called.
First of all, it's secret. You would really think of it as the prosecutor's show. The defendant, or the person who is under suspicion, is not allowed in the room. There is no defense attorney allowed in the room. The prosecutor calls the witnesses that he or she wants the grand jury to hear from, and the prosecutor is the one who instructs the grand jury on the state of the law.
In the New York case, a majority of the 23 grand jurors had to vote to indict the former president. For the case in Georgia involving claims that Trump and his allies criminally interfered with the state's 2020 election results, a special grand jury was impaneled in May of 2022, different from the indictment grand jury held in New York.
A special grand jury or an investigative grand jury is calling for evidence by itself. The investigative grand jury is trying to figure out, is there something worth investigating here that suggests that a crime had occurred?
Portions of the Fulton County Special Grand Jury's report released in February showed jurors found no widespread fraud in Georgia's 2020 elections. They did write some of the witnesses may have committed perjury. And while legally the cases are separate, Levine says there could be impacts on the Georgia case.
There may be a firestorm of backlash and certainly agitation among people who are supporters of the person who is at the heart of both investigations. And that kind of firestorm and backlash can make the job of the investigative grand jury here harder. Certainly, may cause some people to worry about intimidation, and should cause us as citizens of Georgia to worry about them not being able to do their job in a fair and impartial way because they're worried about getting swept up, in the backlash.
Levine says the next steps in New York would be a voluntary surrender or arrest followed by an arraignment where charges would be read and bail would be discussed. She also says for the charges we expect in New York, falsifying business records in commission of another crime and violation of campaign finance law, the maximum sentence is 4 years behind bars. At the live desk, Kim Luffler, Fox 5 News.
All right, Kim, thanks so much. New York and Georgia aren't the only places where the former president is at the center of a grand jury probe. A Washington, D.C. federal grand jury is investigating classified documents the FBI found at Trump's properties last summer. Last week, a judge forced the former president's attorney, Evan Corcoran, to appear before the grand jury. Prosecutors have made it clear they think Trump used Corcoran to try to advance a crime. We'll have the latest developments on our website, fox5atlanta.com.